Python IDLE is an integrated development environment for Python. IDLE stands for Integrated Development and Learning Environment. It comes by default while installing Python. IDLE can be used to execute a single statement just like Python shell and also to create, modify, and execute Python scripts. IDLE provides a fully featured text editor to create Python script that includes features like syntax highlighting, auto-completion, and smart indent. It also has a debugger with stepping and breakpoint features. Python IDLE comes included in Python installations on Windows as well as Mac. Hello learners, I welcome you to all to the tutorial of Python IDLE.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out any new updates or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoy this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video, any queries or suggestions, and I will also respond to your comments.
Now, moving to the agenda, first we will see Python IDLE. As I told you that IDLE stands for Integrated Development and Learning Environment. Moving next, we'll see the features of Python IDLE such as syntax highlighting, smart indentation, and many more. Next, moving ahead, we'll see the installation of Python IDLE. Then we will see how we can work with Python files such as creating a file, editing it, and executing it. Then we'll see the improving workflow. So basically, workflow can be improved through smart indentation, code completion, as well as along with the call tips. Moving forward, we'll see the debugging in IDLE and then customization of Python IDLE. So customization can be done on fonts, keys, and highlights. After that, at last, we'll see some basic programs in Python IDLE. So now let's start with Python IDLE. So as we know that Python IDLE stands for Integrated Development and Learning Environment, and IDLE is used to write, modify, and execute the code more efficiently. And also Python IDLE comes by default while installing Python. So now let's see the features of the Python IDLE. So Python IDLE is a multi-window text editor. Along with that, it is having a syntax highlighting feature, right? And it works mostly the same for cross-platform such as Windows, Linux, and macOS. Now, the next feature that we are having is the smart indentation. So what is indentation? So indentation refers to the spaces at the beginning of the code line. So basically, Python uses indentation to indicate the block of code. So we will understand in a better way when I will show you the example of indentation. The next feature that we are having is the auto completion feature in Python IDLE, right? So these are the basic features in Python IDLE. So next we are having integrated development environment, which is known as IDE. So now you might have a question, what is the difference between IDE and IDLE? As I told you earlier, basically Python IDLE is an IDE for Python, right? So now you might have a question, then what is IDE? So IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, and it's a text editor, right, which contains function. Now you might have a question, then what's the example of IDE? So let's take an example for Java. For Java we are using NetBeans. Similarly for Python we can use IDE as Python IDLE, right? So IDE is used to write, compile, and debug code. Now coming to IDLE, as I told you that Python IDLE is the IDE for Python and it is specifically designed for Python itself. So this is the basic idea about IDE, that is Integrated Development Environment. So now let's see the installation of Python IDLE. So for installation of Python IDLE, I will go on Google Chrome and then I will write simple there Python IDLE. So let me write it. So this is my Google Chrome. I will just write simple here Python IDLE. So I will write here Python IDLE. So on clicking on this, you can see that the first website that I'm getting here, www.python.org, and here I can see that download Python is written there. So let me click on this download Python, and then if you see here, you can see that it's showing download the latest version for Windows. So we are having the latest version as 3.10.0, right? And even though if you want to download it for Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and then you can just click on this and download it. So what I will do, I will click on this download Python 3.10.0, So you can see that Python has been downloaded. Now I will click on this. So on clicking on this, you can see that it's telling me to install now. So what I will do here, I'll just click on this option, add Python 3.10 to path, and then I will just click on this install now. So let it install. So here you can see that I'm getting the option as setup was successful. So I will close it. So after this, how to open your Python IDLE? So I will just go on your search and then I will write here IDLE and then I will click on this. So now you can see that my Python IDLE shell has been opened. Now you might have a question, then what is Python IDLE shell? We will discuss it in the next part. So this is the basic idea about how to install Python IDLE. So now let's see what is Python IDLE shell. So basically Python IDLE shell is an interactive interpreter and it will be open by default when you are clicking on Python IDLE, right? So you will see while opening Python IDLE, it will automatically open by default. Now, if you want to restart shell, then what will happen in this case? Shell will forget about all the previous statement. So now, what is interrupt execution in shell? So let's suppose if you are creating a while loop and we know that while loop is an infinite loop. So let's suppose that this loop is not ending and if I want to stop the execution, so I will just click on this interrupt execution so that my execution will stop. Now, as I told you that Python IDLE shell comes by default while installing Python. So now after getting the basic idea, now let's open the Python IDLE shell. So if I want to open the Python IDLE shell, so what I will do, I'll just go and then inside the search, I will just write here IDLE. And here you can see that I'm getting IDLE Python 3.10. So as soon as you will click on this IDLE, your Python shell will automatically open. So as soon as I'm clicking on this, you can see that my IDLE shell has been opened. Now, this is the shell. So let's suppose if I'm writing here x is equal to, let's suppose 1000. And if I want to print out this x, then I will write here print x. So you know that 1000 will be executed here. So we know that inside this x variable, I have assigned the integer value 1000. So as soon as I will hit enter, you will see that 1000 I am getting in my output. So now the question is that if I am clicking on this shell option and if I am clicking on this restart shell, so what will happen now? If I am printing it, let's suppose print x. And now if I'm executing it, you will see that you will get error because shell will forget about all the previous statement when you will click on this restart shell. So you can see that I'm getting an error. Now, so let's take one more example. Let's say if I'm creating here a is equal to 1000. Now what I will do, I will give a condition. So I will write here, let's suppose while loop, while a is greater than 0. And then I will write here colon. So now, so here you can see that we are doing indentation, right? So as I told you that indentation is nothing but it refers to the space at the beginning of the code line. So this is basically indentation. So here I will write print great learning. So we know that it's an infinite loop, right? Because a value is 1000 and 1000 is obviously greater than 0. So if I'm executing it, let me press enter. I have to press enter one more time and you can see that I'm getting the output great learning. Now I want to stop this execution. So I will just go on this cell and then I will just click on this interrupt execution. So you can see that my execution has been stopped. So this is the basic idea about shell. Now, after this, let's understand more about this Python shell. So the problem is with Python shell is that you can't go back. So let's understand more about the Python shell. So the problem is with Python shell is that let's suppose that you've written a code, right? And you've done a mistake in that particular code. And if you want to go back and edit that particular code, then you can't do it in a Python shell. So that's the biggest drawback. So basically you can't modify or edit the code. So let's take an example. So let me click on this shell. First, let me restart this shell. So here what I will do, I'll just write here x is equal to 5. And then I will write here print. And I will write here, let's suppose x. And then I will write here x plus great learning. So as I know that x is my integer variable and great learning is a string variable, so I can't concatenate it, right? So if I am executing it, I will get error. So let me enter this. You can see that I am getting an error. So if you see here, I can't go back and then I can edit it, or I can't modify it. So it's basically a drawback in Python shell. So it's not suitable for multi-line code. So now you might have a question, then if I want to write a multi-line code and if I want to edit it or modify it, then how can I do it? Then you have to go on this file and then just click on this new file option. So this is nothing but a file editor of Python IDLE. We will discuss it on going ahead. So let's start with working with Python files. So as we know that Python ideally provides full developed file editor where the user can write it, user can modify or edit it, and as well as execute it. But the user was unable to edit in Python shell. So we will be using file editor here. So now file editor also provides the features like automatic indentation. So let's suppose if you are creating a for loop and then you are writing colon there, and if you are pressing enter, so automatically the indentation will be done. And along with that, it also provides the feature of code compression. Now, how to open a file in Python ideally? Go on select file, click on new file, and then the file will be open. So after opening the file, let's suppose that if your file is open and if you want to modify or edit it, then you can do it. Now, here you can see that in editing a file, it is written that ln. So here, ln shows the line number where your cursor is on. Now coming to the col, it shows the column number where your cursor is on. Next, now after understanding how to open a file and edit a file, now how will we execute a file? So basically there is a run module in which you can click it and then you can execute it. Now this is the basic idea about working with Python files. Now let's see it in Python IDLE. So you can see that this is my Python IDLE shell. So for Python file editor, I will click on this file and then on new file. Now what I will do, as soon as I have created on my new file, I open a file. Now let me write some code. A is equal to, let's suppose, 100, and then I will write here print A. Right now, if you want to save this file isn't saved yet. Why? Because here you are getting a asterisk symbol. So as soon as you will save your file, the asterisk symbol will be removed from there. So let me save my file. So how will I save it? I will just click on this file and then I will click here save as, and then let me save it on desktop. I will write basic program, basic program.py, right? So I will click on this save and then it will be saved. Let's suppose if you are not saving this file and if you are directly executing it, so it will not be executed directly. It will first tell you to save the file. So if I'm clicking on this run and then if I'm clicking on this run module, it will ask save before run or check. Then I will click on OK. So once again the same thing is coming, right? So you can directly go on then file, you can go on the save as option and then you can save it. So I will just click on this desktop and here I will write here basic program. And do not forget the file name to write .py. That will show it's your Python file. So let me save it. Now if I'm executing, then you can see that I'm getting the output as 100. Right? Now, so in Python shell, you have seen that we were unable to edit the line of code. But here we can do it. I'll just click on here and instead of 100, I want to write here great learning. And you can see that I can edit it or modify it. So I have written here A is equal to great learning and I have to save it. And as I already told you that if your program is not saved, then it will show you the asterisk, right? So I have already edited the program. So once again, I have to save it. So I can directly press Ctrl and S so that it will save. So if I'm pressing here Ctrl S, you can see that this asterisk has been removed. So I will click on this run and then I will click on this run module. You can see that I'm getting great learning. So in this way, you can edit your lines of code. Let me write here B. And if I'm writing here, great learning is an edtech. And if I'm writing here print A plus B, you can see that once again I have done the editing, or you can say that I have modified this code. So let me save it. So here I can see this is the asterisk symbol is there. So if I'm pressing Ctrl S, it has been removed. Let me run. So on run, you can see that Great Learning is an edtech. So this is the basic idea about creating a file, editing a file, and executing a file. So now let's see how we can improve the workflow. So the workflow is improved by automatic indentation. So as I already told you the definition of indentation, so it refers to the space at the beginning of the code line. And here you can see the definition also. So code will be automatically indent when it is required to begin a new block. So when will code indentation will happen? When you are hitting a enter key after colon. So it will give a certain space in the next line, right? I've already showed you. I will once again show you to get it more clarity. Now, coming to the next feature that we are having is code completion. So what happens here? So let's suppose that you have to write a lot of code and you are writing a lot of code through typing. So through code completion, you can save your time for typing, right? So what will happen here? Code completion can auto complete the name for function and classes. So you can save the time. Now coming to the call tips. So in call tips, it will basically give you the hint and the hint will appear on your screen. So now let's see it in Python IDLE. So now let's see first the automatic indentation. So let's suppose if I'm writing here a is equal to 5 and I will give a condition while a is greater than 0, and then I'm writing here colon, and now if I'm pressing enter, then you can see that indentation has been done here. Now let me print here Great Learning. Now let me change this condition or else it will give me the infinite loop. So I will just write here a less than 5 and let me save it. So here you can see that I'm still getting asterisk, right? So if I'm pressing Ctrl S, so this program has been saved. Now I was telling about you the line number and column number also. So if you see that my cursor is at line 2, so I'm getting line 2 here, right? So if my cursor is at line 3, so you can see that I'm getting here 3. Similarly, you can see here the column number also as 27. Now, so after this, let me write here x is equal to Gaurav and then y is equal to Edwin. If I'm writing here print and I'm writing here parenthesis, and if so here you can see that I will go on edit option and here I'm having show call tip. So here you can see that this is the dialog box and it's suggesting what parameter you can use. So I'll just write here print x plus y. So basically this is the feature of Python IDLE. Now if I'm writing here print x plus y and let me save it, and if I'm running it, run module is showing Gaurav admin. So this is the basic idea about improving workflow in Python IDLE. Okay, so now let's see debugging in IDLE. So before understanding what is debugging, let's understand what is bug. So bug is nothing but it's an error which is found by giving instruction to program. So basically you can see that it's an unexpected error, right? So now what is debugging? So debugging is a process which detects and remove the bugs from the program. And what is bug? Bug is nothing but it's a unexpected error that is found in the program. Now, so what are the ways to do debugging in IDLE? We are having interpreted debug mode. So what will happen here? Basically, this is a feature that is required to turn on by the user itself. So I will go on the Python IDLE shell and then I will click on the debug, and inside that I will click on the debugger, right? So what will happen here? My debug mode will be on. We will see it in Python IDLE. So now coming to the breakpoints, breakpoint is basically a identification of a line of a code where the interpreter pauses while the code runs, right? So now coming to the error and exceptions. So whenever an error is reported to the user in the interpreter, ideally display the file which is causing problem, right? So basically this is the basic idea about debugging where we are finding the error which is causing the problem. Now let's see it in Python IDLE. So you can see that this is my Python IDLE shell. I will go on this debug option and then I will click on this debugger. Now here you can see that my debug is on, right? Now what I will do here, I'll just write here print and then I will write here Gaurav and let me execute it. Now So on execution, you can see that my debugger window has opened, right? So basically in this window, you can inspect the values of global and local variable as your code runs. So what happens here, it will give you the insight how your data is being manipulated as your code runs. So this is the basic idea about the debugging in Python IDLE. Now let's see the customization of Python IDLE. So for the customization in Python IDLE, what I will do, I will go on option menu, I will select on the option and then I will click on configure IDLE. So the customization can be done in fonts, highlight, keys, windows and extensions. Now coming to the font/tabs, it is used to change the size, color and the font style also. Now what about highlight? So as I told you that Python ideally is having a feature of syntax highlighting also, right? So it is used to highlight the syntax of the language. Now, what are keys then? So basically Python ideally provides a keyboard shortcut, right? Which automatically comes from an ideally, and along with that even you can generate your own keyboard shortcut. Now coming to the windows, so basically you can do the customization here for small changes. Now coming to the last point, extension. So extension is used to provide the new features. So this is the basic idea. So now let's see this customization in Python ideally. So you can see this is my menu bar. I will click on this option menu. I will click on this button configure ideally, and here you can see that I'm getting the options like fonts, tabs, highlights, keys, windows, shell and then extensions. So let's suppose if I want to change my size, so let me write here, let's suppose 14, and let me change here the font style to, I will just write here Candera and let me apply here. Okay, so I will just write here Gaurav and I will put it inside print. So let me increase the size of this. So I will just go on options and then configure ideally, and once again I will just click on 29 and I will just click on this OK. So you can see that the size has been increased. Now moving further, so now coming to the highlights, you can choose colors according to your own preferences. So now next we are having keys. So as I told you about keys, that you can create your own key shortcuts, or as well as the Python ideally will also provide you the key shortcuts. Next we are having windows in which you can do the small minor changes, and then we are having extensions also which are used to provide us new features. So now coming to the menus, we are having different types of menus that are present in menu bar. We are having file menu. So in file menu we understand how to create a file and then edit file, and after that we have seen the execution also. Then we are having the edit menu, format menu, run menu, debug menu. Now coming to the option menu, just now we have seen that on clicking on this option menu, we are having an option of configure ideally, in which we can do the customization of fonts, highlights, keys, right? And then we are having Windows menu and help menu. Now let's see some menus in Python ideally. So here you can see that this is my menu bar. So let me click on this format menu. I'll click on this, let's suppose comment out region. So now you can see that this code has been commented down. Now if I will execute this code, so I will not get anything in output, because we know that when we comment down any code, then there will be no execution of it. So let me run this. Before running, let me save it. So I will just press Ctrl S, and if I'm running it, I'm clicking on this run module. So you can see that I'm getting nothing in my output. So let me select this statement. So I'll just select it and then I will go on this format, and then I will just click on uncomment region. Now you can see that it's uncommented. Now if I'm running it, let me save it. So as soon as I saved it, let me execute it. So as we know that this is a string, so let me put it down into a quotes. So I will just use double quotes and let me save it. And now if I'm executing it, then you can see that I'm getting my output as Gaurav. Now let's see what we are having more in format menu. So we are having also indent also, right? So what if I do, if I'm writing simple, let's suppose if a is greater than 0, and then I'm pressing enter. So I know that Python ideally provides the automatic indentation, but I will not do indentation here. I will just write here print a, and let me write here a is equal to 2. and here a is greater than 0, right? So let me run this. So on running, let me save it. You can see that expected an indent block, right? We know that we have to indent this statement. So for that, what I will do, I'll just select this and I will go on this format and then I will click on this indent. Now if I'm executing it, let me save it and run it. You can see that I'm getting S2. So now if you want to dident it, then you can click on this dident region. So let me select it and then I will just click on dident region, right? So basically this is the basic idea about the menus. So now let's see some basic programs in Python ideally. So let's start with prime number. So what is prime number? Prime number is a number which is divisible by 1 and the number itself. So now let's take an example. So I'm taking example of 7. So if you want to know whether this 7 is a prime number or not, then the condition is simple. It should be divisible by 1 and 7 only. So is 7 is divisible by 2? No. 3, 4, 5, 6. You can clearly see that 7 is not divisible by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's only divisible by 1 and 7. So this is a prime number. Now what is the logic? So the logic will be simple for prime number. I will just create a for loop for I in range and I will start with 2 and then I will write here x. So let's suppose my x is equal to 7 here, right? So it will go from 2 to 7. So if I want to check whether 7 is a prime number or not, so I will start it from 2, then I will go 3, then I will go 4, then I will go 5, up to 6 I will go, right? So I will check in between the numbers. So that is the number will start from 2 and then it will go to the number minus 1, right? Let's take one more example. So if I'm taking the example of 13, then I will check it is divisible by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Similarly, up to 12 I will go, right? 9, 10 and 11, 12. So you can see that clearly that 13 is not divisible by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on up to 12, right? So this is a prime number. So what's the logic? So I have just created this loop, for loop, and is the basic logic is x is equal to, let's suppose here 13. So what will happen here? It will check the number. My x is 13 here, and then it will check 13 modulus 2. It is divisible? No, it's not divisible. Then once again it will check 13 modulus 3. Am I getting 0? No. Then it will check for the value I is equal to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and up to 12 it will go, right? Because if x is equal to 13, so we know that 13 will be excluded. It will go up to 12. So this is the basic logic. So now here you can see that I have written here break. Why I have written here break? Because let's suppose that in between the numbers from 2 to 13, if it is divisible, then why need to I check whether the number is prime or not? If it's divisible, then it's clearly understandable that it's not a prime number. So I've written that's why here break. And then else I've written print it's a prime number. So basically this is the basic idea about a prime number. So now let's see the prime number implementation in Python ideally. So let me create a variable x and here I will be taking an input. So I will write here int and then inside this I will write input, enter a number. So now I will give the number through user input. So that's why I've written this function. Now after this, what I will do, I will just create a loop for I in range. Then I will write here 2, comma x. And then I will write here simple. Now I will write the simple logic, that is x modulus of I is equal to 0. Now, if this condition is satisfying, then it's not a prime number, right? So I'll just write here if, and once again I will write here colon, and then I will write here print it's not a prime number. So let me close this. And I will give another condition, but before that I will give a break. So let's suppose that if a number is divisible, any of the number in between, then it's not a prime number. So there is no point of printing values again and again. So I will just write here break. So if a number is divisible, then it's not a prime number and then we will use break. so that it will end this conditional statement. Now after that I will write here else, and then I will write here print it's a prime number. Simple logic. So now what I will do, I will execute it, but before executing let me put else here and then print this here. Now I'm executing it, you can see that. Let me save it. It's asking enter a number, so I will just give 5, and you can see that I'm getting my output, it's a prime number. Let's take some another output. So let me run this module again. If I am giving here, let's suppose 13, then you can see again it's a prime number. If I'm giving here, let's suppose 4, you can see that it's not a prime number. So basically this was the logic of prime number. So now let's see some more programming. So the next program that we are having is pattern programming. So let's understand the logic for this pattern programming. Here you can see that I'm having a variable name number of rows is equal to 5, and here basically I'm using the concept of nested loop, right? So let me give you idea about this. So if you see here, I'm having number of rows is equal to 5, so 5 will come here, right, instead of number of rows. So I will write here for I in range 5, and inside that you can see that I'm having a nested loop. So I will write here for j in range I, and then I'm having print I, and then end, and then I'm having this. So let me explain you the concept. So for I in range 5, so basically what will happen here, I value will be from 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So first what will happen here, I will take the value as 0. So for 0 value, 0 will go here. For j in range 0, will it print anything? No, it will not print anything. So for I is equal to 1, now I will take a value of 1. So what will happen here? So when I is equal to 1, then j can take the value 0, right? So it will print the statement for the 0 value. So inside this you can see that I've written print I. So I value is here 1, right? So 1 it will be printed. Then you will see that I will be getting a gap here, right? I have used this for the gap. Now this will jump to me the next line. So basically once again I am coming to this I. So now I value will be here 2. So for I is equal to 2, it will go like this. For j in range 2. So now j will take the value as 0 and 1. So it will print the statement for 0 and 1. So for 0 it will print 2, and then I will be getting a gap here, and once again for 1 it will print 2. Now and after that once again you can see that I will jump into the next line. Now I value will be taken as 3. So when I is equal to 3, then here it will go 3, right? So my j will be taking 3 values 0, 1 and 2. So for j equal to 0 it will print I. So I value is 3, it will print I, and then I will be getting a gap. Then once again for 1 it will print 3, and for 2 it will print 3. Similarly in this way it will take the value of 4. So my I value will be now 4, and for 4 it will take 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So for j equal to 0, first time it will print I value is 4. Similarly for I is equal to 1, it will print 4, 2 and 3. So this is the basic logic for this pattern programming, right? Now let me show you in the practical example. So now let me implement the pattern programming in Python ideally. So I'll just write here number of rows. Let's take the value as 7, and then I will write here for I in range, and inside that I will put number of rows. Instead of creating a variable number of rows and assigning 7 to it, you can directly write for I in range 7, but I have created a variable of number of rows and I have assigned it. You can do it as you like. So I will write here number of rows, and then I will write here for j in range I, and then I will write here print. Let me write here I, then I will write here end. And so now after this I will just write like this, and now let me run it. And now you can see that I'm getting a pattern like this, right? So basically this is the basic idea about pattern programming. So now let's see the program of factorial of an integer. So before seeing the coding implementation of factorial in Python, ideally, let's understand its logic. So what is factorial? So factorial is nothing but it's a multiplication of an integer and all integers below it. Let's take an example. Let's suppose if you're taking here 5 factorial, then 5 factorial will be 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So this will be a factorial of 5. Also factorial cannot be negative, right? Now you might have a question that what is the factorial of 0? So 0 factorial is equal to 1. Now after understanding what factorial is, now let's understand the logic of factorial. So as we know that factorial is a multiplication of number itself and all integers below it. So let me develop a logic. So what I will do here, I will first create my for loop. So let's suppose that if I want to calculate the factorial of 5, right? So I want that it is multiplied with 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So here, what I will do here, I will write for I in range and then I will write here 1 comma x plus 1. So let's suppose here my x is equal to 5, right? So what will happen here? If my x is equal to 5, then range is from 1 to 6. And we know that 6 will be excluded from here, right? So if the range is from 1 to 6, that means I'm having values from 1, comma 2, 3, 4, 5. So this means I'm having 5 values, right? So that's why I've written here x plus 1. So, so after this, what I will do, I will develop a logic. And what's my logic? So I will create a temporary variable f is equal to 1. So now inside this for loop, I'll write here f is equal to f into I. Now what will happen? Initially my f is initialized to 1. So my f value is 1. So as I know that this is a loop, so I will contain the value from 1 to 5, right? So what will happen first time? F is equal to f into I. My f value is 1 and for the first iteration I value will be 1. So my f is equal to 1, right? For I is equal to 1, my f is equal to 1. Now after this, what will happen here? Once again this is a for loop, so now it will take the I value as 2. So once again my formula is f is equal to f into I. My f is 1, I is 2, so my new f is equal to 2, right? So now my f will be equal to 2. Once again this loop will run and this time it will take the value as I is equal to 3. So for I is equal to 3, once again the formula is f is equal to f into I. My f is 2 and I is 3, so f is equal to 6, right? In this way this loop will go on. So once again my f value is 6 and this time I value will be 4, so 6 into 4 it will be 24. Then once again it will run, my f value is 24. Now f is equal to f into I. So for I is equal to 5, what will happen here? F is equal to f into I. F is 24, I will be 5, so my f will be is equal to 120. So you can see that I'm using this logic for multiplication, right? F is equal to f into I. So whatever the new f value I am getting, I am just multiplying with the I value. So I value started from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have just multiplied it. So in this way, I can get my factorial of an integer. So now let's see the coding of factorial of an integer in Python ideally. So first I have to give the input. So let's suppose I am giving the input by user itself. So I will just write here a is equal to int input and then I will write here enter a number. Now this function will give me a string, right? If you are writing input enter a number, then it will give you a string. So that's why I have written here int, so that I can change the string value into integer. So I will be using this function to take the value from the user. After that I will create a temporary variable f is equal to 1 and then let me write my logic. I will just write here for I in range, then I will write here 1 comma a plus 1 and inside that I will write my logic f is equal to f into I, right? And then I will simply write here, let's say print and let me write here f. Now this is the basic condition. But what about if somebody is giving the number as a negative? Let's suppose if somebody is giving as -1 or -2. So we know that factorial of an integer can't be negative, right? So let me write here condition. So the first condition I'm giving here, if a less than 0, so let's say I will say factorial cannot be found. Now, next condition, what can I have if a number has been given to 0? So we know that the factorial of 0 is 1. So I will write here else if a is equal to 0, a is equal to 0, and then I will write here print factorial is 1. And then I can write else, and inside else what it will be? My logic. So let me cut and paste from here, and I will just write here my logic. Cool. So let me save it. I will just save it and let me run. So on running, yeah, on running you can see that it's showing expected and intent. Yeah, so you can see that I was getting error, right? So let me indent it, and now if I'm executing it, let me save it, and if I'm running it, and let's suppose if I'm giving a number -1, then you can see that I'm getting the factorial cannot be found. Let me give some other value. If I will click on this run, and if I'm giving 0, you can see that I'm getting factorial is 1. Now once again let me run, and this time let's suppose if I'm giving the value as 6, then you can see that I'm getting factorial of an integer as 720. So let's take a quick recap of this course. We have started this course by understanding what is Python ideally. Then we have seen the features of Python ideally. Following that, we have also seen the installation of ideally. Moving ahead, we have seen what is Python ideally shell, and then we have seen how to open a file, edit it, and execute it. After that, we have seen that how we can improve the workflow of Python ideally along with the debugging and customization. And at last, we have seen some basic programs in Python ideally.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out any new updates or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoy this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video any queries or suggestions, and I will also respond to your comments.